Pritha Muneswar is a 22-year plus veteran in the industry, working behind the chair, doing makeup, and being a runway stylist. She's a new salon owner as of 2019. And if you didn't check her story out last time, hear how she opened a salon, everything that she went through, and how she got into doing fashion shows, you definitely should check that out. Hello and welcome back to the Hairdresser Strong Show. I'm your host,
Thank
Robert
you.
Hughes, and today I'm with Pritha, and we're going to hear her expand on what it's like to be a regular runway stylist in salon. Pritha, how are you doing today?
Hi, Robert. Thanks for having me back. I'm doing great. Thank you.
A- Absolutely. All right. Well, I'm excited to hear you talk about what it's like doing hair, like being the group that's picked to do hair, and what it's like backstage. Why don't we start with how kind of like refresh our memory on a little bit about like how it all got started.
So, back when I first was opening the salon, I somebody was in contact with me from Planet Fashion TV asking about doing shows for Swim Week. They were looking for hair and makeup artists. So, I had never heard of them before, and I just was like, you know what? I just opened my own salon. Maybe this is a good opportunity. You know what? If I don't try, I'm not going to know. So I just responded back and I was like, okay, well, what are you guys looking for? And they were looking for a team. They were looking for 10 hair people and 10 makeup artists. So I responded back and I says, look, I can bring a group of 10 hairdressers. We'll take care of that. And you guys look after the makeup. And that's what we did. And I went there with the group of hairstylists that I had worked with for a long time. And we knocked out 3 days worth of shows in Miami Swim Week in 2019. And it was like an amazing experience. The first day, I remember they called me out to check the sound and the backdrop, and they had the main group logo in big screens, like three huge screens on stage. And I was like, "This is amazing!" I'm like, "Did we make it, guys? Like, what's doing?"
Yeah, it sounds awesome.
Yeah, it was like a really amazing, cool experience, especially since I opened my salon at the end of June. Swim week happens mid July, so like literally, I opened 2 or 3 weeks before.
Wow.
And yeah, and it was hectic and chaotic, but we've all worked shows before with our other employer as well, with our old salon. I worked shows probably since I moved to Miami. So the backstage part wasn't new to me. The event was different.
Cool. So I guess first question, like if someone is interested in getting involved in doing hair for runway shows, whether it's traveling or locally, what do you think like is like a good way to get started doing that?
Volunteering,
Okay. Oh,
volunteering wherever you can. And like runway shows are a lot of editorial work and like styling work, dry styling and stuff like that, like brush up on those skills. You're not going to be doing cutting or coloring or anything like that. You're going to be have to be a strong stylist in that sense. So those are things that you can work on in the meantime if you love braids and versatility, because sometimes we get there and they're like, "Oh, can you do a braid? And can you do a crown braid? Can you do this? Can you?" And it's just like being able to figure things out in the moment, but definitely volunteer first. Like it gives you the opportunity to go try things out. If you don't like it, you never go have to go back. And if you do, you can volunteer again. And usually that's how you're getting your foot in the door to most of these things. At least that's been my experience here in Miami before you start finding out the events that you'll get paid for.
so let's talk a
People
little bit
approach
about
me backwards. They always want to get paid first.
yeah.
And yeah.
Okay, tell us a little bit about that though. Like tell us a little about the payment side. Like once you volunteer and somehow, I don't know, somehow someone's going to offer you an opportunity to get paid to do this kind of stuff. Couple
Hmm.
questions. One, is that something that happens to an individual stylist, or is it usually something that happens to a salon owner or like a group or something like that?
Okay, wait. What do you, in payment in what sense? Like, yeah,
Getting
paid like
paid.
as a salon owner getting paid.
No, no, like um let's say I volunteer, I do some shows, and
Mhm.
then what does the opportunity look like when someone asks me to get to come and do hair and be paid to do hair backstage for a fashion show? Like, are they going to ask me, or are they going to ask my group, like the group that I'm with? Like,
So
do people
all of
hire
that, like
individuals?
really, yeah, it all really depends on how you are um, marketing your career, basically, right? Because how is someone going to find you to do hair for a fashion show if your Instagram is only balayages?
Right.
How are they going to find you if you only do one thing or another? I mean, and then once you start doing things volunteering, you start meeting people, and again, like who who knows you, who sees your work, who a lot of the time, like here in Miami, it could be like you get to places and the artists are flaky and they don't show up. So if you're the person that's always there, they're like, you know what, I just want to call you next time because you're always on time, you're always here, you always deliver. So yeah, and then it leads into make them want to pay you. Like they will want to pay you if you are the one delivering every time. They're going to try it out and they're going to come back because it's like a tough business in that sense.
I
Some
would
up, sometimes they don't. Sometimes,
Well, I would assume that if you're doing a show, you would need a group. And I feel like I wouldn't have a lot of confidence that myself as an individual is going to get much
So
paid work.
well, that's again, that's another reason why it doesn't work out. That's why I approached how I did as a group. I'm like, well, one, I can't do all the hair by myself, and there's like 40 models. It's easier to get a group of hairstylists. The reason they call us back every time is because the majority of us, we work together. So when we go there, we work together on a salon level. And then when we go to the shows, we understand how to work together there. Like it's not
Makes
an
sense.
competition, like who's doing this and who's doing that. No, we're there as a team. We're there to get the job done. The name at the end is going to say the main group. And, everybody obviously can gets credit for the models and things like that they've done or work they've done, but yeah, you're absolutely right, it's easier, like the power is in the numbers to go and um advocate for yourself to get some sort of payment or some sort of something, that versus one guy, like one hairstylist, hey, I want to get paid, I want to get paid, I want to get paid. It's really hard. And from the flip side of it, from the production side, which now in the last year I've been more involved in, it's really hard to work with 10 different artists who have no idea and you don't know them, they don't know you.
Sure.
It's like a little difficult in that sense sometimes.
Yeah. So okay. So like if I'm a young stylist who want to get into fashion shows, or even like a stylist who's looking to transform my career and like get more into it, it sounds like I should look for a salon that does a lot of fashion shows and go there. That's what it sounds like. That might be the easiest pathway to get in. Does that sound
I
accurate?
think it is that like probably one of the easier roads because like again on your own, like if you look on my Instagram for the salon at the main group, I have a mixture of all different kinds of things that we actually do. Like we have fashion shows, we have balayages, we got haircuts, we have a little bit of everything. So we're marketing towards everything. Whereas if you have your page just geared towards one thing or another, no, no designer or no production company is going to come up to you and be like, "Oh yeah, can you produce 20 balayages for me for a show?" They're going to look at your work if it's hashtag with editorial styles. If you are doing other things like that and promoting yourself in that way, I think we don't do enough of promoting what we want versus just taking what we get.
Gotcha. Well, I also kind of feel like, I did a little bit. I did nothing like what you're doing, but I flirted with like when I was younger in my career with like some stage stuff, like not platform, but like runway stuff. And
Hmm.
I discovered what I think I discovered, because like I said, I didn't get as into it nowhere near what you do. But it
Hmm.
seemed to me like it was kind of an in the know kind of thing, or you had to have a relationship with someone at like a modeling agency, or
Yeah.
like maybe a photographer. Like that might be a
Hmm.
good
Yeah,
inroad.
definitely, definitely. Well,
Yeah.
if you just wanted to, like here, I know a lot of new hairstyles that do bridal, for example. They'll go get connected with a lot of photographers that do bridal.
Yeah.
And it's the same idea. Like I was, I don't know if it's fortunate or hard work or whatever, but I got hooked up with these people. And At first, it wasn't paid. I'm not going to sit here and say we got paid all this big money. No, for a long time, it was not paid. But then, now I'm getting to go to Monaco, or I'm getting to do other shows, or other things are paid for, or things like that. So, in every arena, like as a hairstylist, I was a hairstylist for 20 something years. As a salon owner, I'm new. As a runway artist, or like a runway group of team going out to do shows, we're still new. So I'm not, I have different expectations. I don't, not expecting like, oh, I'm going to go there and get $1,000 an hour for like all these shows. Maybe now I can go in there with a little bit more, because now I can say, here's my resume full of things that I've already done.
Right.
Um, yeah, that's kind of how I approach things. Like, let me do the work first and show you what I got. If it's good, then no, figure it out that way.
I always just assumed that like doing runway shows would be mostly about the experience and the accolades and the social media content. It wouldn't even be about getting paid. But like, what is a
Yeah.
ballpark payment for working backstage? Like, if someone's curious to know, like, how Luke, if
So
they
like
want,
I
yeah,
did I did the Dior had a men's fashion show here, the only Dior show ever in Miami. Um in 2019, I think December 2019. Yeah, right before COVID. So that was probably one of the better paying jobs. And it was, I think, per day, like $500 or something like that.
nice
There all day
per stylist.
per stylist.
Wow, that's pretty sick. Yeah, I like that.
So that's a Dior though, right? So
Right.
is gauged on what you're doing and where you're for. Or I did another show here in Miami. This was like over 10 years ago, the 24-hour cotton show. That show got into the Guinness Book of World Records, and we got paid. That show was a 24 hours. The whole 24 hours the show was going on. So we
Wow.
to work 3 shifts out of the 24 hours, and I think each shift was like $300 or something.
That's so cool though to say Guinness Book of World
Yeah.
Records.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, that one was really cool. So we did that show every year until it got into the Guinness Book of World Records, because I think we did it 2 or 3 years
What are they in the Guinness Book for?
for like the
Lo-
this 24-hour runway show.
Okay, that's
Because
cool.
basically there was one look per minute.
Wow.
So that one was crazy. That was one of the ones, like they brought me like the Alexander McQueen photo, and this girl had this crazy crown braid, and they're like, "Oh, can you do this to someone right now? You have 3 minutes." And I was like, my coworker was there with me. He's like, "Oh yeah, she does braids," and I'm like, "Hey, what the hell?" So yeah, we did it, and sometimes it's crazy. If you're like a nervous person, or you don't work well under pressure, or you're like on the slower side of things, backstage is not for you.
Gotcha.
It's a very high pace, high stress environment, and depends on, again, who the designers are and stuff like that. Will kind of gauge how the show works. Like Dior was very organized, very like, I don't want to say relaxed, but more relaxed than some of the other shows we do. Like Forever 21, the backstage was, we're going crazy. There's like girls, guys, everyone getting dressed, doing all kinds of things.
Yeah, cool. So what
It was a lot of fun.
real it all sounds super exciting, and I feel like you gave us so much information here. What Tell us like a little roundup of like what the shows that you've done. So you did Swim Week, Dior, this Guinness Book of World Records one. What else
We've
have you
done
done?
swim week every year. I've done swim week every year here in Miami since probably 2015 or before, like maybe 20
Gotcha.
or something. So the swim week happens every year in Miami. I've done that every year since then, basically. New York Fashion Week, I've done like 3 times already.
Nice.
And the other shows, I'm going to Monaco. We did Art Basel here in Miami. Sometimes I forget how many they are really. So I have to go through our Instagram and scroll and see, like, oh, yeah, we did this. Oh, yeah, we did that. In 2020, in the pandemic, there wasn't shows going on like normal.
Right.
So we did live broadcasted runway show. We went to this place and we filmed something. So it was like kind of learning too a little bit something outside of our zone, like how to digitize and like a live virtual show. It was a virtual show, that's how you call it.
Okay,
Yeah,
yeah.
before. So we did a few virtual shows. So getting and learning different things. One of the best things that it's worth more than any money they can pay you really is monetizing and marketing your content that you get from these things. It's using it to the take advantage of it. You went there and you worked. Yeah, maybe it's free, but we're always doing is trading our time for something else. You traded your time for now this content. Now it's up to you to use it to market yourself with it, you know?
Right. Right. Yeah, I
Uh,
love that. Monetizing the content by using it as marketing material. Is that what you're saying?
yes, yes,
Yeah, I love
exactly.
that.
I mean, don't think of it that you're going there and doing something free. Think of it like, okay, now I got something that if you think about it realistically, if you only did 4 models on say a runway show, you have 4 professional model photos, right? You have the content of the videos that come there. You have a lot of things that where you can't pay 4 models to come and do a where you have to get clothes
Totally.
way, you have to get all this stuff that and a photographer and all these different things, makeup, hair. It's kind of all presented to you to me in a little package, a fun one too. And yeah, like I said, just use it to your advantage. Don't think about, oh, it's free and oh, I had to work for free. I don't think
Right.
from that perspective. I think of things from the perspective like one more thing getting in my bag of tricks to get me somewhere else that I want to go.
Yeah, I mean, I mean, getting jazzed for work for a couple of weeks, that's like worth it right there because like I noticed my 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 guest's experience is elevated so much when I do something that I got that inspired me, and the longer you
Exactly.
can have that run going for, the better. I mean, my average ticket price, you can see it go tick up a little bit in having that inspiration.
It's also the inspiration, but you inspire your clients really because
Yeah.
you inspired by your craft and then they're like, "Well, try everything on me. What did you go learn?" And then again,
That's
we
true.
say to our clients that we are the expert in this. Look, they're calling me to do this fashion show. They're calling me from here. We are showing them that, we know what we need to do to you. So here, sit down and let me take charge. And
Yeah.
it's taking that back away. Like I said, you can either do what the clients want you to do, or you can actually tell the clients what they need to do, you know?
That's so good. Well, I think you just that was like I want to leave. I kind of just want to end on that note. Like that was so
Awesome.
good. That was so valuable to hear that, and I hope everyone listening is paying attention. And did you have anything last piece of information you'd like to share before we sign off,
Um,
or
oh,
advice or anything?
my words of wisdom are always like just go for what you want, believe in yourself, and own your greatness. I posted that today, this morning on my Instagram, but really own your greatness. We are all great at something, own it and be it.
Nice. I love that.
Okay.
Awesome. Well, everybody, Pritha Muneswar from the main group in Coral Gables, and thank you so much
Thank
for.
you again.
And if you're listening on podcast, please give us a rating. Obviously, we'd love for you to give us 5 stars. Please follow us if you're watching on YouTube or Instagram. Please subscribe, follow, leave a comment below. It helps support the channel. It doesn't cost you anything. Until next time, take care and thanks again, Pritha.
Thank you.